The Cubs World Series drought lengthens to 109 years, only if the Cubs could have just won one more game. All of this would have been said on the news if the Cubs didn't have Kris Bryant. Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be looking at one of the biggest what-ifs in the baseball world. What if the Houston Astros drafted Kris Bryant with their first pick in the 2013 MLB draft? With the Astros taking Kris Bryant number 1 overall in the 2013 draft, the Chicago Cubs, with an abundance of talented position player prospects like Javier Baez, Jorge Soler, and Albert Almora, the Cubs draft Mark Appel, a right-handed pitcher out of Stanford. As nothing changes in the 2013 season, the Cubs still lose 96 games and the Astros still lose 111 games, but the Astros are very excited at the growth and development of their new young star second baseman Jose Altuve and see the promise in young pitcher Dallas Keuchel. When the 2014 season rolls around, the Astros are excited with the development in their first pick in the last year's draft, Kris Bryant. See their first pick in the 2012 draft, Carlos Correa, climbing his way up through the system, and are also impressed with prospects George Springer and Lance McCullers. When the draft rolls around, the Astros see they have an opportunity to win in the very near future, so
with the first selection of the 2014 first-year player draft, the Houston Astros select Carlos Rodon, a left-handed pitcher from North Carolina State University, Raleigh, North Carolina.
The Astros see winning in the very near future, so they draft the best college arm in Carlos Rodon instead of high school pitcher Brady Aiken, as Rodon is more polished and can make it to the big leagues sooner. In the offseason going into the 2015 year, the Astros know that their star prospect Kris Bryant will be called up early in the 2015 season, so they don't need to sign free agent Luis Valbuena, and rather spend the money on a 3-year deal with Dexter Fowler, who was an on-base machine for them the previous year. The Astros find success early in the 2015 season, and when the draft rolls around, they are without their second overall pick because Carlos Rodon signed with a team unlike Brady Aiken, so they don't have the compensation second pick. So they don't draft Alex Bregman, but they don't need him as their new third baseman, Kris Bryant, has been flourishing in his first 2 months in the big leagues. The Astros still have their 5th overall pick, and now because they didn't get Alex Bregman, they decide to draft an outfielder, but this time they are in a win-now mode, and they don't get Kyle Tucker. Rather, they draft
Andrew Benintendi, an outfielder from the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville, in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Their 2015 postseason run is still the same, and they lose to the Royals in the ALDS as their young group can't quite overcome the previous year's AL champ. The 2016 season sees the Astros with a starting lineup of Jose Altuve, Dexter Fowler, Kris Bryant, Carlos Correa, George Springer, Andrew Benintendi, Evan Gattis, and Marwin Gonzalez, and designated hitters like Yuli Gurriel and Tyler White. The 2016 Cubs lineup, however, saw Albert Almora Jr. in center field and Javier Baez at third base instead of Dexter Fowler and Kris Bryant. The Astros would cruise their way to the World Series with a stacked lineup and a starting rotation that had Dallas Keuchel, Lance McCullers Jr., Carlos Rodon, Colin McHugh, and Mike Fiers. This was all to go with a very impressive bullpen that included Luke Gregerson, Tony Sipp, Pat Neshek, and all-star Will Harris. The Cubs, without Fowler and Bryant, would still make it to the World Series because they had an incredible starting rotation of Jon Lester, Jake Arrieta, and that year's NL Cy Young Award winner Kyle Hendricks. Game 1 at Minute Maid Park was a lefty matchup between Jon Lester and Dallas Keuchel that saw the Astros win 9-5, thanks in part to 3 runs that Jose Altuve scored, a 2-for-4 night with 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored for Dexter Fowler, and a 3-for-5 night from Carlos Correa. Game 2 was a matchup between Lance McCullers Jr. and Jake Arrieta, where the Astros would explode in the second inning for 6 runs on 3 ribby doubles from Benintendi, Gattis, and Marwin Gonzalez, topped off by a 2-run home run from Dexter Fowler. The Astros would cruise to a 7-4 win and take a 2-0 lead to Wrigley Field. In a Game 3 matchup between Kyle Hendricks and Carlos Rodon, the Cubs would win 7-6 as Javi Baez hit a home run and a double, but the Astros didn't go down without a fight as Altuve homered and Evan Gattis homered twice. The Cubs won Game 4 7-3 with John Lackey on the mound and facing Colin McHugh. Game 5 was a Game 1 pitching rematch, but this time the game went into 10 innings, and at the top of the 10th inning, the Astros scored 3 runs on 2 bases-loaded walks and a Javi Baez error, and would eventually win the game 7-6. With the Cubs down 3-2, Game 6 was a must-win. Jake Arrieta went 6 innings and gave up 4 runs and left the game with a 6-4 lead, and that was how the game ended as Pedro Strop, Justin Grimm, and Aroldis Chapman each gave the Cubs a scoreless inning in relief. In the decisive Game 7, Carlos Rodon and Kyle Hendricks again took the mound. The Astros took a 2-1 lead going into the bottom of the 7th inning when Jose Altuve hit an RBI double, and later that inning, Carlos Correa hit a 3-run jack to put the game away, and the Astros won Game 7 6-3, clinching the World Series title and extending the Chicago Cubs drought to 109 years. If the Astros drafted Kris Bryant, they would be World Series champs, and the Cubs would have never won a World Series. It is crazy how much one draft mistake can do to an organization, but that is why the draft is so important. For the World Series simulation, I use whatifsports.com, so if you want to check them out, I'll leave a link in the description. But I hope you guys like this video, and I'll be doing more what-if scenarios in the future. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
Hold on to me.